Hey guys, and welcome back to FaithWorks Designs. I'm Faith, and today we're going to be finishing up the Lego box. Now, I've tried to put these videos out the same day so you guys could see start to finish how they were made. So today is going to be the second half of the Lego box. The videos were getting kind of long, so here we go. Alright, so we're working on the lining now, and the very first thing that she says, so that it'll fit in there kind of snug on the inside, as she says she wants to start on each corner at 1/4 of an inch. And then in the very middle, you'll bump up to 1/2 an inch. You'll want to connect the 1/4 of an inch to the 1/2 an inch back to the 1/4 of an inch. So you'll just kind of have a little something there. So now, all you're going to do is make sure that you backstitch here, sew along here, backstitch at the end, and then go ahead and do just like you did with the outside pieces. You're going to find your 4 corners, and on the bottom of your box, you're going to go ahead and find the 4 corners of that. Alright, now that you've got the lining all done and you've got the outside all done, we're going to set these to the side, and we're going to start working on the lid. Now, what I did was I took the bottom of the outside one, and I went ahead and I did 1/2 an inch all the way around and made a larger one. That way it'll go over the top and it'll have a little bit of an overhang. And that way, once you get the seams, it should fit pretty snug. But I wanted a lid for it just to make sure that those Legos kind of stay where they're supposed to be. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. So take your bottom piece and then lay it down over top of another piece, and then just measure 1/2 an inch all the way around so that you make it bigger. I also cut out the outside fabric and another of my lining, so that way it'll be on the bottom. 2-inch strip of fabric and 2-inch strip of the foam. And I went ahead and put those together. I want it to go around the lip of the top so that it kind of has a hangover. So we're going to be putting all of that together in just a minute. I also have the lining, a piece for the lining cut out as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so you're going to need approximately 45 inches of your outside the lip. So it'll be 2 by 45 inches. Measure yours out, see if it's measuring the same. Sometimes when you cut, you might be cutting a little larger than you're supposed to, or smaller, or vice versa. So what I do is call it like a dry fit. Just go ahead and kind of clip everything around. And then I came over here and sewed my seam, just so that I made sure that everything was fitting like it was supposed to. Now go ahead, and I would do a 1/2 an inch seam allowance on the lid, and then do the same thing for the lining, just like we did on the inside of the other one, and do it just like you're doing this one. So 1/2 an inch on both of them. Alright, so the very next thing that we're going to do is I'm finding my seams, and I've got my lining with the interfacing down. So we're going to be putting right sides to right sides. Okay, so I am finding my seam, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to clip right sides together all the way around. And then I'm also going to be leaving a hole so that I can, 1, turn this inside out, and 2, so I'll have a space to insert that little flap that we made for the box, so that the lid and the box will be attached. I am not going to lie, that was interesting to turn inside out. Between all of the interfacing that you had and then the foam interfacing, it was thick. So make sure that when you're sewing around, that when you're backstitching, make sure that you backstitch, because those seams are going to come apart, because it was really hard to like pull everything through. So make sure you do that. Everything all clipped all the way around. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to top stitch around the very, very top, and then come back and top stitch around the edges. Now I went ahead and I put a pin so I would remember where the opening is, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to start at one end, go all the way around, start at the next opening and stop, and then add my flap from the top, from the outside piece, and then we're going to sew those together and those will be connected. Okay, so I thought I had pressed record when I started sewing the edges, but apparently I did not. So I went all the way around and top stitched that very bottom part, but I left this portion open so that I can stick the little flap in there, and that way the box and the outside are connected. Okay, so I've got it all pinned, and you could probably hear my little Phoebe barking her daddy's home. Alright, so I've got all of this all pinned up. This I just slipped in between the lining and the outside fabric, and that way our lid is connected now. But I've been sitting here pondering for like a minute on how I'm going to get that into my sewing machine. So, here we go. Alright, I hope you can see what's happening here. When I got my lid all folded up, make sure that your fabric that's underneath is folded over so you're getting the seam allowance. Now if you want, you can go back and sew over that flap. I think that's what I'm going to do, just to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I forgot my paracord. So I went raiding and found some paracord in a backpack that I had made. What I did was I tied it in a knot, and then I burned each end. That way it doesn't unravel. You have to do that with paracord, okay? So in the middle, you're going to want to just loop and then thread all the way through to the ends. And what I did was I had it poke out, I cut the ends, I burned the ends, and then I pinned it so that it couldn't move. Then I put it together like this, and I found the middle of our little circle, half circle, whatever you want to call it. Then I went back to our outside container, and I found the middle across from the seam. And what you're going to do is on the outside, so you're going to put the middles together and then start working your way around until you've got all the way to your edges. Now I made it so that it was so much wider so that when the basket goes over, there's a nice tunnel for it to come down. If you had made it smaller, the Legos probably would have went everywhere. So it's going to go a good ways around your basket, and that way the tunnel kind of flows the Legos to the middle of the playmat and not towards the sides when you're doing it. Now that you've got this all done, I think what I might do is just do kind of like a stay stitch so this isn't moving when I'm trying to put the lining on top of that. Alright, we're almost there, guys. So I went ahead, and where you've got the paracord, I went ahead and like back stitched like crazy over top of it so it wouldn't go anywhere. But I did a stay stitch just so that it's not moving around while I'm trying to work with the lining fabric. So the next thing that we're going to do is wrangle this beast, okay? We're going to have to put all of this into this. And what I'm going to do, because I've got the lid to deal with too, is I'm just going to put that inside for just a second till I can put this inside of the lining. I figured turning it inside out would be a whole lot easier than trying to top stitch it or do anything like that. I don't like seeing seams, and so I like doing a lot of my stuff like that. Alright, now that it's in there, and I've pretty much got my seams right where they need to go, I'm going to take the lid out, and then if you want to, you can just kind of roll it up, and you're going to shove it into your lining so it's out of the way. And then you can go ahead, and if you want, you can pin or clip that one spot so that I'm just trying to get our seams to just stay where they're supposed to be. Now, you're going to have to take this out and do the same thing. Put it in between the lining and the outside fabric. It's bulky, guys. It's bulky. Alright, so you've got everything out where it's supposed to be. Now what you're going to do after you get done wrestling it is you're going to clip or pin all the way around. And then what we're going to do is going to sew around the top and then just leave an opening, and we're going to turn it inside out, and we are almost done. Now, so that you'll remember to leave a hole, what I would do is find a spot where there's not something in the way, the lid or the mat. So towards the back to the seam, somewhere in there, go ahead and make sure that you pin. If you've clipped all the way around, it's really good to use pins so you can remember where that hole is supposed to be. And I'm going to leave a decent sized hole because I know this is going to be a beast to turn inside out. Just make sure that when you're sewing and you're starting that you're going to backstitch like crazy, because you're going to have to pull all that foam, interfacing, the mat, the lid. You're going to have to be pulling all of that stuff in. So make sure that you backstitch. So just play with it. Leave yourself a hole so that you can turn it inside out and it's not too much of a beast. I mean, it's going to be a beast. Just mentally prepare yourself for that. But after that, it's top stitching and you're all done. Okay, we're almost done. All we've got to do is top stitch. So I've got it all clipped up. That's my opening, and boy was that a bear to turn inside out. But it's going to look really good because we won't have, you know, a bunch of funky seams and stitches and stuff. So it's going to look really nice. The only thing is, we're going to have to hold these down with these clips. But when we get to the part where the mat comes out, you're going to have to actually just kind of get the mat out of the way. And what I would do is just kind of pull both fabrics out of the way and then pin it somewhere down here. Pin it somewhere down here while you're top stitching so that all that stays out of the way. You're going to have to deal with this mat being in your way for like a little bit. But, you know, as you go, just kind of feel with your hands, or you can pin the lining on the inside and pin it down out of your way. Alright, so I've got it in there, and I'm just kind of making sure that the bottom is flat, and then just kind of pushing the lining in and the mat out. Take your time with this part. Make sure your needle's down when you decide to kind of shift things around. And just take your time. Don't be in a hurry with this part, because this is what on the outside and everybody's going to see it. Alright, so what did you guys think? I love it. I think it's really cool. After taking it out, letting the boys play with it, I think what I should have done was had two different places to pull the paracord up with so that it would kind of funnel better into the box. I think if I make another one, that's an adjustment that I'm going to do on it. Other than that, I like the size of the lid. I like the size of the box. The pattern, Faithwell storage bin pattern, was perfect for this project. It's just the right size for everything. And then I think the playmat size is good. Just depends on how many kids you've got playing. If you've got more kids, you probably want to try and get like 108 wide fabric and then make it like 66 by 66 or something, a little larger, just so that there's more room for them to play. But you can't really make it too big because then you've got to shove in Legos and all of that fabric. So the only thing I can tell you to do is try it with some fabric that you're not crazy about and see if that's the size that you want. That's what I probably should have done. Who am I kidding? I like the size, I like the handles, I like that the lid is attached because I have a feeling that would go missing. So having it attached in the back is nice. And then, like I said, it does pour out. The Legos do what they're supposed to do. However, I think I would have spaced it out and made 2 handles on each side to kind of help wrangle them into one place. Other than that, I really like how it turned out. What do you guys think? If you liked it, you can give this video a thumbs up. Or if you want to subscribe and see the rest of the stuff that we're going to be doing pretty soon, you can just hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment below. Let me know what kind of stuff you guys have been sewing from Sew Sweetness. She's got a lot of free patterns on there. And just, I thought this was really cool. I have made 4 of those Faithwell bins because all of my customers love them. And they're great for storage, and they can be personalized for each kid. And if I have enough of this Lego fabric, we may make another one. We'll see. I hope you guys like this video. Thanks again for joining us on Faith Works Designs. Bye, guys.